Good evening from Washington, D.C. I'm Michael Steele in for Chris Hayes. Donald Trump's war on the government is intensifying, and he has empowered the world's richest man, Elon Musk, to do the job. Musk and his minions are storming federal buildings and causing havoc. Protesters are hitting the streets and gathering outside government buildings to block Musk's access and voice their outrage. Today, House Democrats arrived at the Department of Education seeking a meeting with employees of Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, but they were blocked from entering. It was at least the fourth time this week that members of Congress were denied entry to a federal agency that they fund. As elected officials and Americans are trying to figure out what to do to stop this activity, the courts are responding. Today, a judge in Washington put a temporary hold on Musk and Trump's plans to fire almost the entire staff at USAID. Even so, Musk is plowing ahead, and he's doing it with the president's full approval.
Is there anything you've told Elon Musk he cannot touch?
Well, we haven't discussed that much. I'll tell him to go here, go there. He does it. He's got a very capable group of people. Very capable. They know what they're doing.
But as this continues, we are learning more and more about this, quote, capable group. It was just yesterday when one 25-year-old Musk staffer who had sensitive access to the Treasury payment system quit his job when the Wall Street Journal connected him to a social media account full of racist hatred. He was apparently posting stuff like, quote, I was a racist before it was cool, and you could not pay me to marry outside of my ethnicity, and normalize Indian hate. And get this, Elon Musk is mad that the staffer had to quit. Go figure. He attacked the journalist even who wrote that story, folks. Oh, but it gets better. J.D. Vance, you know him, the Vice President of the United States, posted that he agreed with Musk. And apparently, so does Donald Trump.
One of the Doge engineers was fired for some inappropriate posts. The vice president says, bring him back. What do you say?
Well, I don't know about the particular thing, but if the vice president said that, did you say that? I'm with the vice president. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, there it is. This is all part of an emerging pattern, folks. Today, reporters found that another Musk staffer reposted white supremacists online. And we also learned today that yet another one was fired from a previous job with a cybersecurity firm for leaking company secrets. And because all of this centers around Elon Musk, the guy Donald Trump dispatched to dismantle the government, Trump is having to answer a lot of questions about Musk. I mean, just look at the cover of the latest Time magazine. Elon Musk behind the president's resolute desk, holding a cup of coffee. And you would think Trump would hate this kind of stuff, right? Well, because he has in the past. Because Musk is getting all the attention. But he appears to be taking it all in stride.
Is Time magazine still in business? I didn't even know that. Elon is doing a great job. He's finding tremendous fraud and corruption and waste. You see it with the USAID, but you're going to see it even more so with other agencies and other parts of government. He's got a staff that's fantastic.
He really loves Musk's staff, the people breaking what works for you in government to make it work for them. Now, there's hope because there are Republicans on Capitol Hill and they're ready to stop this. No, I'm just kidding. No, they're not. They could, put up those guardrails for Trump and rein in the unelected billionaire, but they won't.
We see this as an active, engaged, committed executive branch authority doing what the executive branch should do.
Some of my colleagues are screaming like they're part of a prison riot.
I mean, he's basically doing an audit, so I hope that he'll soon be issuing a thorough report to Congress and the public.
This is a reform movement. And for all the outrage bingo that my Democrat colleagues and many in the legacy media are playing, they ought to pace themselves because it's going to be a long 4 years.
Republicans are not just going to stand up to Donald Trump at this point. Forget it. They've had decades worth of chances, and now here we are. Susan Glazer is a staff writer at The New Yorker, where she recently wrote about Elon Musk's revolutionary terror. April Ryan is the Washington bureau chief and senior White House correspondent for Black Press USA. They join me now. Susan, let's start with your New Yorker piece on what this Musk purge is all about. You wrote, if cutting the federal government is what this is all about, then Trump and Musk would not be bothering with tiny USAID, whose estimated budget of some $40 billion is less than 1% of the federal government's. The point is not a policy fight, it's an execution. They're killing one agency to terrify 1,000 others. Those words are so true, and it is so obvious. Talk a little bit more about, from your reporting, what are you hearing and understanding what's really going on here and how these dominoes are starting to play out and fall out around the country across federal agencies?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, look, I think it's really important. The Republicans, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, they think they have a strong hand. They think that nobody cares. Foreign aid is unpopular, that government has been demonized pretty successfully for decades by the Republican Party, essentially, going back to the Reagan era. Right. It's been a core part of the ideology of the GOP that the best thing that the federal government can do is get out of the way. Many Americans across the political spectrum believe that. They don't see, what the government does to keep your drinking water clean, to keep the planes safely in the sky, to stop infectious diseases outside of the country before they get here, which is one of the core missions of USAID funding that's now being cut. And so, in part, it's a reflection of their political assessment that these are vulnerable targets. Because remember, Donald Trump is a bully, and what he likes is to punch down, whether he is punching at Canada and Mexico and Denmark, rather than going after Russia and China or going after, a tiny foreign aid agency. So I think that's part of it. The other part that's really striking, though, is that it's not about policy, Michael. And I find it hard this week, right? Because everybody wants to say, like, oh, let's make the case for my favorite policy. It's not about policy. Let's be honest about that, at least. If you want to have a disagreement with Republicans on Capitol Hill and Democrats about what they're funding, then do that. We know how to do that as a country. We have a system that works for that. Congress appropriated this money. There were negotiations and complicated deals that resulted in what we have right now. Elon Musk is taking a hatchet to the federal government and hoping that he can do as much damage as possible before the courts catch up with him. So let's just be honest about that's what's happening here.
So, in talking about being honest, April, there was this recent letter from the acting U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Ed Martin, who, quite honestly, may not actually be authorized to practice law in the District of Columbia, but, it's the Trump era. In this letter, he notes that, thank you for the referral of individuals and networks who appear to be stealing government property and or threatening employees. If people are discovered to have broken the law or even acted simply unethically, we will investigate them and we will, quote, chase them to the end of the earth to hold them accountable. This is a prosecutor, D.C. prosecutor, chasing people to the end of the earth. What are you finding out there as you sit in those briefings at the White House, as you talk to members on the Hill? How is this going down?
And also talking to those who are in the Republican Party as well, how it's going down, what many who are working with DOJ are hoping for and relying on are for those who are in these agencies and in these departments to rat on their fellow colleagues. And that's what they're doing in an effort to thin out what they consider the waste. An active thinning. This isn't an audit. This is an active thinning of government in this moment. And what we're understanding is everybody will be impacted, but they are definitely relying on those who are having whisper campaigns and tattling on their fellow colleagues. we're in a whole different time than where we had been before. And what you were talking about was with the Postal Service. I mean, we're seeing that in the FAA. We're seeing that in transportation. We're seeing it potentially getting ready to happen in the Department of Education. They're relying on the military to do the same thing. It's in every department. And we also saw today they were taking down the signs for the USAID, the logo that's on the building. This is what they're relying on. This is not professional. This is hearsay in a lot of instances. And where's the backing up if you're doing this audit? Where are the receipts, as young people would say?